Yo, what's going on, guys? Robert Warshak here, and we're going to be covering some budget decks for you ballers on a budget wanting to get into this new expansion, but can't afford some of these legendaries and all these quests and all these expensive cards that everybody's playing. You just kind of have this game and you just kind of want to go through the motions, but you also want to go through the motions while playing a semi-competitive budget deck. We've got you guys covered. Keep in mind, none of these decks have any legendaries in them. There's none. And max of basically 2 epic cards in the decks, and by 2 epic cards I mean 2 separate epic cards, not like the same epic card but twice. I've had a couple people kind of ream me on that one. So with that, we've got our budget Deathrattle Demon Hunter here. This has the Illidari Inquisitor, of course, and this is basically what makes Demon Hunter Demon Hunter. It also just has that infinite Deathrattle package that they always seem to have in the early game, which is the Razor Boar and the Razor Fen, and these guys just continuously pull out all of the other Deathrattle minions, and it's just chip damage, big damage until the Inquisitor comes out. And then, of course, if they're not dead by then, the Fellsteel Executioner cleans people up very, very nicely. And yeah, this deck functions very, very well, even without Death Speaker. It's one of many very good cards in the deck. I find when a deck relies on basically 1 to 2 cards to be good, the deck probably shouldn't, function that way. It should probably just be well-rounded, which the Deathrattle Demon Hunter is. It has a ton of options, and just everything in the deck flows very, very well together. So taking it next to the best bang for your buck, that's going to be the Token Druid at 2600 dust. Again, I know this deck isn't that new. It's been around for quite some time, and it was basically the top of the previous meta, with the fact that Glowfly Swarm and Arbor Up are just absolutely insane with the rest of the decks, looking at Solar Eclipse and whatnot. We've got one new inclusion, though. We got Sow the Soil. We replaced Gibberling when Gibberling got nerfed to 2 mana, so at least we have a turn 1 play now that generates a little token dude. We also have the option to make it do more attack to the board for a little bit more burst. Not that this deck needs more burst, but we have it. And not too much to say here. Not that exciting of a deck in regards to like newness, because again, it doesn't really have any new cards, and the game plan of the deck is exactly the same as what it was previously. But again, with these budget decks, we can't really run the new legendaries. It's right now in this meta, it is very, very hard to play a budget deck and be successful with it. And basically the budget decks we have here are just very aggressive, fast-paced decks that kill the other decks before they get to do their cool shit. So that's where we are in the meta right now. You can't really build a control budget deck because those decks require legendaries and epics and quests, and all of that is just something that these budget decks don't have access to. So we kill everybody else before they get to have fun, and that's where our fun comes from, is negating other people's fun. The law of nothing goes away. So if they were to have fun, it needs to go somewhere, and we absorb that. So we've got the Aggro Elemental Shaman here. Again, this is a very popular deck right now. It is at 1200 dust. This deck is very, very, very cheap. Half as expensive as the most inexpensive decks that we can make. So this is like the absolute budget of the budget, and it's one of the best. It's insane. The Aggro Elemental Shaman with the Doom Hammers and whatnot, it even made it into our monthly meta in the other video we posted, which covers the best decks that aren't budget. This is still in there. So if that tells you the power level of Shaman right now, specifically the Elemental Doomhammer one, yeah, it's on a whole nother level. Doomhammer into Storm Strikes and Rock Biters. I mean, it's just insane. They just like pump out a crazy amount of damage, and it's very hard to stop them. Also, keep in mind with the budget decks, I only have 4 for you this time about. I only had 2 days before my next trip to a wedding to like put everything for the next like week together. So I was a little bit on a time crunch here, but we've got the Face Hunter here, a nice budget Face Hunter for you guys. It's crazy to think that the Aggro Elemental Shaman stood at 1200 dust, while the Face Hunter, which is supposed to be and has been relatively the cheapest decks that you could possibly build, is sitting here at 3000 dust. But in this age, 3000 dust is incredibly cheap in regards to like just building a deck. The fact that you could even build a 1200 dust competitive deck blows my mind still. But we've got our Face Hunter here. It's always been a deck that sticks around and does really, really good in the beginning of every meta, just because it just, again, kills all of these slower decks. Basically, anybody's trying to have any sort of fun with any of the new cards and their deck is anywhere semi-slow, this Face Hunter is just going to completely just blow them out. You win by turn 5. As soon as you go Trampling Rhino, the game's basically over. And you do get to play with 2 new cards. You get the Aim Shot, which is an insane new Hunter card, and it works, again, really well with Kodobane, but unfortunately, he's not in the deck because he is a legendary. So again, if you're wanting the non-budget versions and just the best decks, that is in the other video I posted, which should probably come out right before this video. So With that, guys, if you use any of these decks, you enjoy the budget builds, let me know in the comment section below. Throw it a like, throw it a comment. Seriously, it helps it out on the YouTube algo a ton. And if you don't use any of these decks and they all suck and you're like, I hate you, leave like a down vote or something because, you know, fuck me, right? So with that, thanks again for watching, guys. Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.